Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. A man who took over the world with one song and then continued a career. At just 19, he was an international star. And this Christmas, he returns to the UK to star in Snow White at the Pavilion Theatre, Worthing, from December the 1st. I'm delighted to say that Chesney Hawkes joins us now. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Alex. How are you doing over there?
Do you know what? I'm not bad. I mean, here I am talking to you, such a huge part of my sort of adolescence. I mean, the biggest song in history. Please tell me you still love that song, because it's easy to become resentful, isn't it?
Oh, well, I've had my ups and downs with that song, I have to say. We were very, very close at a young age, and we fell out for a little bit, broke up, got back together again. These days we're more kind of like friends with benefits.
There you go. That'll do for me. I mean, the benefits of that song is that you can take it anywhere in the world and get a gig anywhere because people love to hear it. I mean, it's one of the most uplifting radio records in history. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, no, it is. It's funny. I call it a song with wings. It kind of has its own life, you know, even 20... Bloody hell, what is it now? 26 years later, it still seems to fill dance floors and still gets played on the radio and get placed in films and stuff. So it has a kind of a life of its own.
And it's not easy to sing. I've noticed that people try it at karaoke, and the one and only may well be a great pop record, but it's not for the faint of heart, is it?
No, there are some high notes in there for sure. Not even I can get those notes anymore.
Incredible. You're coming back this Christmas to do Pantomime, which of course we're really looking forward to at Worthing in Snow White. I guess you'll have to sing it probably between 15 and 37 times per day.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of that song. I do tend to when I do Panto, and obviously we include the one and only in the Pantos. At the very beginning of the rehearsals, when I meet everyone, I go around and apologise to everyone in advance for having the song stuck in their head for the whole of the month of December. You know? So I'm really sorry. It's going to be annoying.
I said to you at the beginning, you're one of our biggest stars, and you truly are. I mean, at the age of 19, it sort of all began, and fame hit you. Does it ever become normal just being an ordinary person? Because you've never had life really without fame, have you?
No, I guess not. Not as an adult. Yeah, it's kind of always been around. I've certainly got used to the idea. I don't have the same kind of celebrity over here in the States where I live. So I guess I have kind of the best of both worlds, where I've got my life over here in relative anonymity, and then I can come back to England and be him, as my friends call it.
Why did you choose to leave here and move over there?
Well, I married an American girl.
That'll do it.
We've been married for 20 years now. Yeah, that'll do it. But she was living with me in England for 17 years, and we had 3 children. And after a while, I was traveling back and forth to America for projects, because I'm now a writer-producer. I kind of produce and mentor young artists. So I kind of was coming back and forth to the States doing that quite a lot. And we just kind of thought, you know what, let's have an adventure in this life and take the kids and the dog and the studio and move to the West Coast, which is what we did. And that was 5 years ago, but I'm always back in England. So I've got, as I said, the best of both worlds, really.
It's probably between 8 and 10 degrees, bit cloudy, been miserable all day. I've not seen the sunshine since about July. What's your weather doing?
Well, I have to say, if you asked me this last week, it would have been extreme, because it was over 100 degrees.
Wow.
But for some reason, it's cooled down to about 70. Nice, pleasant 70. And everybody here is wearing coats and saying it's cold.
I love that.
You don't know nothing, son.
I was just in Vegas a few weeks ago, and they're the same there. It becomes 80 and they have a weather warning. It's like, come on, real world. Hello.
So funny. I know. It's like when it rains over here in LA. It's the funniest thing. People don't know what to do. They're like, oh my God, water is coming out of the sky. I'm like, they literally go out and do the rain dance. It's hilarious.
Is it a good place to bring up kids? I mean, I know professionally it's probably a good place because it's a hub of show business, but what's it like for being a family?
It can be really great, actually. I know what you're saying, about the kind of the scene in LA, and it has a kind of a reputation for being a little bit fake and very much kind of driven by the business. But of course there are many families out here, and there's certain parts of LA that you can have a relatively ordinary kind of family life, which we do. We live about 15 minutes, 20 minutes from the kind of crazy Hollywood area of town, but we live in the valley, which is very much families and schools, and so you can actually have a very ordinary life out here and kind of avoid the crazy scene, or at least dip your toe in the water now and again to laugh at the madness.
One thing is bothering me: the kids. Do they have that annoying American accent where they go up at the end of every sentence?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, I have 3 kids. My eldest is 16.
Uh-oh.
He actually managed to hold on to his English accent. I think he knows what's good for him, because all the girls that he goes to school with are like, say something. He's like, well, let me tell you, darling. He knows what's good for him. But my other 2 are very much valley kids.
Uh-oh.
They don't do the oh, daddy, whatever. They're not quite that bad.
It's the vocal fry thing at the minute that I can't stand about the LA girls, where they talk like this at every sentence. It's really weird, that vocal fry thing, isn't it?
It is very odd, and my kids actually really take the mickey out of the kids that do that.
Oh,
so
thank God.
Luckily they're not fitting in that crowd, but they do have an annoying American accent, so I can't stop that, unfortunately.
Are you there for good? Do you think you'll ever come home?
I would never say I'm here for good. I think I'm here for the time being, but no, my wife and I actually miss England. I have the feeling that we'll probably end up back in Blighty. I mean, I'm very much an English guy. Whenever I'm away, I miss it. I miss so much about England. I miss the beer, the football, the kind of banter, the pub life, the kind of ironic humour that they don't really get here.
They don't do sarcasm in LA, do they? I tried that once. That didn't go down so well.
You've got to be careful with who you lay that one on. And of course, we have that humour in England that we don't mind taking the mickey out of each other and being kind of self-effacing and.
Right.
That's not really a thing over here. I mean, there's certain people, there are exceptions, obviously, and I have a lot of friends out here. Maybe I pick my friends that, that kind of understand my English humour, so, because I'm not giving it up, I tell you.
Thank God for that. And what about the James Cordens and the Gordon Ramsays and the David Beckhams? Do you get to hang out with them, or is it just another world?
No, and as I said, I kind of dip my toe in that water now and again. There's often kind of Brit gatherings over here, where you bump into people like that, quite a lot. So it's not my everyday life. I'm not sitting here having dinner with Tom Cruise and James Corden every night, but we do bump into each other now and again. Give each other that kind of knowing. Nod.
It was interesting. The last time I think we saw you on TV over here, you were talking about a terrible time that you and the family had been with over an accusation that was made against your dad. I wonder how you feel this week. I mean, in this country, we've lost our minds. There are people resigning over touching ladies' legs. We've got all kinds of things kicking off post Weinstein. I suppose for you, there's a certain karma to this, because to be accused of something you haven't done is even worse than being accused of something you have done, because of course it still lives on, doesn't it? And you can't get away from Google.
Yeah, it's a funny time, isn't it? I mean, unfortunately, there are going to be people that are caught in the crosshair, like my dad was.
Yeah.
He was falsely accused, actually. Of course, as you say, the press gets the name, and suddenly that's a headline. And even when it's been found not to be the case, the headline is still there. And I think that needs to change. I think that names need to be kept out of the press, because it's so unfair. And what happened to my dad was really, really, an awful thing. And I have to be completely honest. I think that was what. I think that the stress of that and the money that they lost fighting it in court is what brought his cancer back. And unfortunately, these life stories, that of course these monsters and pigs of men that actually do commit these crimes need to be brought to justice, and that all needs to change. And of course, that side of it is amazing. I'm so pleased that all of these people have come out, it's all coming out now, and I think things are changing. I think it's a really great thing. But of course, there is the other side of it where, people like my dad and various other people that, have been accused get caught in the crosshairs and suffer for it.
How's your dad now? I mean, you mentioned the cancer came back. How's he doing?
He's not doing too well, to be honest. He's now in. He just finished treatment for the second time. He's been through stem cell transplantation and a lot of chemo and everything. And we just had the results of blood, and we were hoping he was going to be in remission, but he's not in remission, unfortunately. So he just had to cut a tour short, and he's just a bit poorly right now. But we don't really know where this leaves us. But we just keep praying for him and hope for the best. Really, we're at that stage right now.
There's got to be some anonymity until there's any proof or conviction. To have your name, I mean, Cliff, I don't think we'll ever get over it. It's just awful.
No, I agree. I totally agree. It's a horrible thing to happen to anyone, and the stress involved is just so enormous. My poor mum as well. Having to deal with all that, and I mean, it's hideous. It really the law must change and catch up. With these cases and change the law so that there is anonymity for these people, because as you say, it can ruin your life. It can ruin lives.
I think the other option is that we either say we have anonymity for the men who are accused, or the women in certain cases, although there are less of them. Yeah. Or we say that the person who accused, if they're found to have lied, we can name them, because of course even when they're found to have lied, they're still given their privacy.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. Yeah, I think things would. My parents, they're getting on a little bit, and they were asked if they would like to kind of join in some of the cases where people were joining together, and I think Dad knows Cliff from years ago, and they just wanted to kind of move on with their lives and didn't want to deal with lawyers and courts and stuff. And I totally agree. They wanted to leave leave that kind of energy behind, if you know what I mean. So I understand where they're coming from, but I also understand that, I think it needs to change. So hopefully things are moving in a direction. Apparently there are cases coming through, and hopefully the government will legislate and make it law to keep it in anonymity. So
I last spoke to Cliff last Christmas, and I said to him at this point he had been cleared. It had all been thrown out. There was absolutely no proof. I said, will you ever get over it? And he said, no, I don't think you ever can, when there's been so much publicity. And these are the darkest of claims. As you say, it's just so unfair. And you can't recover, can you, fully? You're always going to be bitter, and bitterness is hard to overcome.
And the trouble is, when it comes out in the press like that, and the papers do these big spreads, and it's across everywhere, and it's on everyone's lips, it's for the greatest wish in the world. The great British public, may not see or find out that the actual truth of it, and the truth that it was falsely accused, or that it wasn't properly investigated or whatever. And of course, those words that come out, they mean something, and they actually stick. And they stick even after everything's been thrown out of court. So, I understand where Cliff is coming from. You can't get over that, because there's still people out there that think that he's guilty.
Really sad. Well, we send our love and support to your family, because it must be a very tough time. Let's talk about things more positive. And of course, you've been seen on our telly a lot over the recent years, and you've done a lot of the sort of reality shows, and we worry about your health, because they've not gone very well, many of them. They normally end up in the back of an ambulance, don't they?
It's so true. My wife said no more reality shows, because I started my kind of clumsy career on reality shows started on a show called The Games, when I was learning all these crazy Olympic disciplines like water ski jumping and high diving and all that kind of stuff. And I had an accident water ski jumping and ripped some of the cartilage out of my hip, so I had to have an operation there. And I also then I did dancing on ice, and I broke my leg and kind of ripped the ligaments out of my ankle. So when I did MasterChef after that, my wife said, no sharp knives.
Yeah, exactly. Be careful. I mean, I guess it's the risk you take, and they are pushing these reality shows more and more and more, aren't they, to try and obviously get ratings and make great TV, but the risk is that you can end up injured or worse.
God, I hope the worst doesn't mean what I think it meant.
You never know what your next agent might offer.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm staying well clear of any reality TV at the moment.
Very wise.
I think the only thing I could do is sit on a couch in Big Brother. That's about the only thing I could do.
Very, very wise. Listen, it's been so lovely talking to you. Yeah, there you go. Do something cosy, children's TV or something like that. That might be safer. As we end, let's talk about Panto that starts on December the 1st. I mean, this isn't the first time you've done it. It is utterly joyous, but my God, it's hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, I have a kind of a laugh with my friends that I would say have proper jobs, whenever I complain about like my work, they're like, you can shut up, you play guitar for a living, it's not proper work. But then when I show them my schedule for Panto, they're like, all right, we'll let you have that one.
You haven't got any of those hideous 11 a.m.s, have you?
No, but we do have some 9:30s. So
no.
that's about as early as it gets. But a lot of school performances. Yeah.
Oh.
No, it is. Panto's a funny thing. I mean, it's as you say, wonderful and joyous, and I love playing to kids, and it is fun, and you get to have fun with the script and play with it, and that's the beauty of Panto. But yeah, it is bloody hard work with as you say, 2 shows a day, sometimes 3 shows a day.
Yeah,
in fact, I have 3 shows on Christmas Eve this year.
Wow.
So I'm earning my money this time, but I love it. I absolutely love Panto. It's a real fun thing to do, and you end up like having a little family in the cast and crew and everything. It's Worthing should be a fun place to spend Christmas, I would think. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time.
They've given you a great cast as well. Nikki Evans is one of my favourite people, an X Factor star that can actually do it. I saw her in Blood Brothers years ago and we spoke, and my God, she got a great voice. And Cassie Compton, again, another girl from West End. She was in Les Mis, I think, when I first saw her. She was about 12. God, we're old, aren't we, Chesney? It's depressing, really.
It is. Yeah, it's a fantastic cast this year. I'm really pleased. And the 2 boys, the CBBC boys, are in it too. So we've got some comedy there for the kids, and great singers. I think I'm going to be in a great bunch of singers. So it's going to be very strong musically, I would think. And
of course, we've got the mirror, mirror on the wall, which is Jo Brand, an amazing comedian. She'll get big laughs. And she doesn't even have to turn up.
Yeah, I know. She can sit home in her slippers.
I think you need to speak to your agent. Why can't you do it from LA? Will you be bringing the family over, or how will that work for Christmas Day?
Yes, I have to bring them. I have to be with them for Christmas, So I'm bringing them over for the 2 weeks over the Christmas period, just before Christmas, and they'll stay till the New Year. So that'd be nice.
Fantastic. How great. Well, I look forward to seeing you December the 1st through January the 1st at the Pavilion Theatre for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Have you got real dwarves, or are they the men on the knees? Because that's the way they tend to do it now.
Actually, the way we're doing it this year is a bit different. We're actually using children. And actual actor kids, so they use it. They're actually doing the voice. It's not like one of those taped, dwarf voices. They're actually doing the voices. So it's it should be interesting.
I have to admit, I think the days of having actors on their knees playing dwarfs is incredibly un-PC, and I think they're going to have to forget that very soon, aren't they? It is a bit risky. Very wise move using children. Snow White is taking place this Christmas from December the 1st. You can see Chesney Hawkes with Jo Brand, Cassie Compton, and of course Nikki Evans and the boys from CBeebies at the worthingtheatres.co.uk, where you can get tickets. I really love talking to you, Chesney. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me, Alex. Really, really nice talking to you too. Hopefully we'll do that again soon.
Hope so. Cheers, mate. Thank you.